Hello and welcome to Hard Poses Made Easy, a bit of a workshop for you guys. So welcome wherever you are tuning in from. Hello from really rainy Brooklyn, and Daisy's taking a nap. So I love having this time with you guys here to practice and share and do all of the nice things we can do to simply take care of ourselves. So hello everybody. If you don't mind saying where you're from in the comments and how you're feeling, that would be great. We'll get started in 5 minutes here with a nice hard poses easy workshop. So feel free to jump in and practice. This is really open for everyone. And my goal here is to take some of these challenging movements that you may try out in your yoga classes or your home practice and break them down in a way so they're not as stressful, first of all, and we can find ways to move in harmony and have the poses be the same feeling if they're easy or if they're hard. So really taking the approach of switching from isolating body parts and sort of having one formula to do one pose to having a nice approach that works whether you're sitting and breathing in and out or rocking forward and back in a handstand. So isn't it nice when everything is everything and how we approach one thing is how we approach everything else. So hello from Portugal. Hello everybody. So hopefully you're feeling all right. Hey Bill, how's it going? My goodness, it's so great to see you here. So anyway, thanks for joining you guys, and we'll get going here in just a few moments. So hello from Italy. Thanks for being here. Super excited for this workshop. Yeah, this is a workshop that we do quite a bit in person. Not just led by myself or with Mike or just us, but also the Strala larger family has found different ways to express this same concept of hard poses made easy. So today I thought we could really break down some specific moves that I think a lot of you guys are interested in: handstand and forearm stand, and just a good old-fashioned plank pose. I know just from the classes this morning, a lot of people are having pain in a plank pose, and that really doesn't need to be the case. And if there's any pain when you're doing yoga, of course, it's not a good sign. We don't want to train our brains to work through pain. Working harder than we need to accomplish the task at hand is not a good sign for progression or success. We'll rework these ideas and move a lot more in harmony with our whole selves, whether we're doing plank pose or handstand or forearm stand or any of that stuff. So that'll be really great. So yeah, lots of our friends, fellow guides and teachers, Strala guides, and friends around the world have led similar workshops to this. So this is something that we all like to do in our community together, whether it's somebody in Germany at a studio, or Ray in New Jersey, or Florencia in Argentina. I know you're here, guys. That's really cool. So this is really a nice global experience, and you can take these concepts and feel free to share them with your friends and family. If you're a yoga teacher, feel free to let this give you some ideas and how you can move in harmony and how maybe you can structure some workshops that you give as well. So I think that's really cool. We can all kind of learn from each other. Daisy's sleeping. She's taking a snooze. So sorry, we can't bring her on right here. All right, so let's get started. So I wanted to take you guys through a simple flow first that works into a handstand, and then we can kind of work back from there, have a bit of a chat about it if that sounds good. And then I'll take you into a simple flow that involves building up to a plank pose and hanging there for a little while. And then we'll have a simple flow that builds up to a forearm stand and hang out there for a while. So does that sound good? Some yoga for sciatica. Oh my gosh. So yeah, just quick detour. Maybe this is useful for more than my friend here, Larez. I'm sorry if I'm saying that incorrectly, but your nice picture, I think it's of a cat. It looks really cute. So a simple kind of nice thing, and I learned this from Sam Berlind, who's much more far along in the decades of experience, especially in dealing with people with severe injuries, all kinds of injuries, from sciatica to stress-related disease and chronic pain, things like that. And the main suggestion that Sam gives is, and it's great for everybody too, so it can't hurt, is crawling around on all fours and trying to get up and come back down to the ground in the easiest way possible. So why don't we just start with that as a warm-up to get into the practice, because crawling is really the whole thing here with moving our bodies in harmony. So we have to learn how to do that from something really simple like a crawl. And we'll see how maybe not simple this is, or how our habits, how we move currently can be improved. And I love thinking about improving how we move, not as something where you learn how to move and then you've got it, check the box and you're better and you're all of a sudden this fantastic mover and so amazing and the light comes down, everybody just wants to be your friend. Hopefully everybody wants to be your friend anyway because you're a good person. But becoming a better mover is a lifelong practice, especially when you look at this from a holistic approach, an East Asian approach, a moving in harmony approach. So just because these concepts have been honed in East Asian philosophy doesn't mean they don't exist in maybe your grandmother's harmonious way of life, or your good friend who lives out on a farm somewhere, or somebody in the city that you know who's learned how to simplify their life and moving in harmony in other ways. So I love kind of thinking about that process of life and how we can relate it to how we move. We can see exactly our habits in our life by how we move. If we're stressed out all the time, we may kind of move like this, or hunch our back, or protect ourselves in this way. A lot of people have this kind of arched back because they present themselves in this way to the world, and that will start to hurt your lower back and hurt your knees, things like that. So any aches and pains, it's kind of interesting to think about your movement patterns and how you can change your movement patterns to change the experience of being in the spaceship that is you. So hopefully that's kind of useful. All right, so if you're new here, if you're just jumping on, this is a Hard Poses Easy yoga workshop. Everybody's invited. I'll do a few different flows, kind of brief flows, 5-10 minutes, and then we'll chat about how that went and what happened, and we'll break down a first flow that leads up to a handstand, a second flow that leads up to a plank pose and holding a plank pose for a while, and a third flow that leads up to a forearm stand. So welcome everybody. Hopefully you're doing all right wherever you are. So first, before we start doing yoga or doing anything that looks like yoga, I love this idea of simply practicing taking care of yourself all the time, or more of the time, or maybe more reasonably, whenever you remember. So coming down on all fours, simply crawling around here. And just crawl in your space a bit from your hips. Let your hands and feet kind of slide along. So don't kind of pick up your hands and knees and push them on the ground or crawl in this way, but see if you can really just shift your weight from side to side and slide around. And if you've ever learned or studied body work or healing, this is a lot of the approach of shiatsu, where you would simply crawl on your partner, wiggle your own tail a little bit, see if you can be movable, and then crawl off. So nice to do. If you're doing this practice on yourself, you can practice crawling on your friends. If you're quarantined with anybody that will be happy that you're crawling on them, or even a pet, a dog, or a cat a little bit, you can kind of play around. That's nice too. But this is so great for yourself and your own whole body, your back, your head and neck and shoulders. So just spending a few moments crawling around. You've had some crawling here, slide a foot up. Start to crawl your way up your own body here. So finding the easiest way to come to standing. And let yourself gently walk around your space a bit here from your hips. So shifting, sliding. See if you can walk backwards, forwards. See if you can become aware of your habits. If you're kind of walking with this is a common one, I'm exaggerating a lot, but if you kind of tend to walk with an arched back, see if you can relax that. You don't need to tuck your tailbone or do anything really extreme with your muscles, but see if you can come into more alignment with yourself. And that happens a lot by just putting a little bend in your knees, putting a little wiggle in your elbows and your shoulders. Just start to breathe really big and full. And just walk around. And I love thinking about this just simple walk around. If somebody came into your space right now, they wouldn't look at you like you're doing some sort of spiritual practice or movement practice. You'd simply look like you're just simply walking around your room and you're taking really good care of yourself. So I love this idea of allowing your physical practice, your yoga practice, becoming maybe a little less pretentious, a little less pretending to be doing yoga in that way, if that makes sense, or less posy in that way. So bringing maybe just a little bit of less preciousness or carefulness, or a little less awareness, if that makes sense. So simply being aware of yourself without that kind of consciousness of doing your moves with your hands. And then in our normal life, when we're walking around, we're usually very unaware. We're kind of bumping into things, and we're thinking from our heads, and we're on our devices. So bringing more of this kind of awareness into our regular walking around. So I think that goal is that real middle way where we can find an easy way to cruise around and have this be our all the time practice. So we're not simply practicing taking care of ourselves and moving in harmony when we're just on our yoga mats or just on our meditation or whatever it is. Those are great kind of luxurious times we get to simply practice. But we can take this really into all the time when we walk around, crawl around. And then from standing, bring yourself back down to the floor in the easiest way. Again, this is great for your back, any kind of pain or aches there, but really great for everybody. So if you have any friends or family that you want to get moving a bit more, just come and do this practice with them. You can talk each other through. It doesn't have to be a yoga practice to be doing something good for yourself, but crawling around, guiding each other to stand up and crawl back down, come to sitting, can really practice so much about yourself in these simple ways and feel really, really good after, just like you've done an hour of yoga or something like that. So we're crawling here, eventually finding your way. If you've got your mat out on your mat or on your ground is great too. And this same feeling here, rolling around a little side to side. So I'll walk you guys through a brief flow. We'll do a little bit of simple movements, smaller movements that lead to bigger movements, and eventually rolling forward and back in some handstand looking playtime. But again, keeping this much more about the movements and moving in harmony with yourself than any final place, any pointed place here. Tuck your toes and lift up and back here, down dog. Put a little bend in your knees. Shift your hips a little side to side. Settle in. Crawling out toward your plank pose, nice long wave. And drop your knees down. Sink your hips, roll around a bit here. Maybe staying high or a little lower if that's better for you. Keeping your knees on the ground, shift up and back, tuck your toes, lift up and back there. Down dog, settling in. And crawl up toward the top of your space here. Shift your hips for one side, slide a foot and a hand up. Shift and slide till you cruise on up toward the top of your space. Roll yourself all the way up. Big inhale pulls you high. And easy up and over your legs. Crawl toward your right side, slide your left leg way back, low lunge, drop through your hips. Ease your back knee down toward the ground, take your time to open up. So a neat perspective to think about handstand is moving from your hips, or really an upside down hip opener, which is kind of amazing, right? So many handstand workshops will leave you feeling not strong enough in your upper body, or like you have to do 10 million sit-ups, and all those things can be fun to practice. It's not that there's anything wrong with practicing building strength in your upper body and doing some core movements for 3 hours before you do a handstand. But essentially, if you learn how to move your body really, really well, you'll be always strengthening your arms and always strengthening your core, and you can save yourself a lot of isolated stress. Slide this leg all the way back around, back onto all fours. So essentially, your handstand can feel a whole lot like the movement you're doing right now in your hands and knees. Tuck your toes, lift up and back there, down dog. Settling in. And take an easy cruise right back up toward the top of your space. And drop over your legs. Roll everything up. Big inhale to stretch. And easy up and over. Lean left, slide that right leg way back, low lunge. And take your time, dropping through your hips. So it's nice to kind of get out of that headspace of, okay, this is all just preparing me to do the thing that's important, right? So we all know it's coming, but it's a bit of a bigger practice to make everything important. So if you kind of mentally skip over anything, then the next thing isn't going to be satisfying. Even if you do the thing, it still has this unsatisfactory taste. There's a really nice saying of how you feel along the way is more important than where you're going. So staying in the process will help you reach your goal and go past the goal and actually be satisfied with that goal and not feel like it's never enough. You know, we all have maybe experience in ourselves when we're kind of just chasing after something and maybe you get it and maybe then you're not even satisfied because you didn't feel good or pay attention to yourself along the way. So really cool how practice moving in harmony can help realign us with our own values and ourselves. But ultimately, these are conclusions that you'll come up with on your own in even better ways than I can tell you what's going to happen, but it's kind of fun to share. Crawl back around onto all fours, again, rolling around. Again, letting yourself pause or hang out in any place. It feels like it use a bit of extra breath or extra opening there. And tuck your toes, lift up and back. Down dog. Little bend in your knees. So move a little bit more here. Lean left, lift your right leg way up and back behind you. Down dog, split, roll open. Low lunge, lean left as you slide this foot right on through. Scoot your feet a bit apart. We'll come up towards standing. Lift yourself up nice and high. And all the way down toward the ground. Keeping your hands on the ground. Lift up through your hips. Drop your torso over your legs. Easy here. Sink a little bit here. Lean back. All we're going to do is lean back, kind of this lifted runner stretch, and crawl everything forward. Plant your palms on the ground, lean forward, look forward. That bottom foot doesn't have to leave the ground. Then crawl on back, relax. 2 more times, everything coming forward, everything coming back. Use your breath here. 1 more time, everything coming forward. And if you have a little bit of air there, keep your knees soft. Again, let yourself roll around. Your hips and belly should feel like a nice stretch here. Try not to let that bottom leg kind of reach for any goal of straightening up. That's a way to really save yourself from any crashing there. So soften that back knee down. Let's take it easy for a moment. Crawl toward that open slide. Side your top leg all the way around. So if you feel yourself kind of hitting your edge of okay, I'm getting worked up, just come back to all fours, roll around. I'll save us from getting collectively worked up. So that handstand movement can be in your zone of ability instead of trying to kind of mentally shut your eyes and then just, make it happen, right? That's usually, or probably always, not such a good idea. All right, tuck your toes, lift up and back. Down dog, settle in. Lean right, lift that left leg way up and back, roll everything open from your hips. Lean and slide that foot on through, low lunge. Scoot your feet a bit apart. Roll yourself up nice and high. And all the way down. Let your hands catch you. Lift up through your hips. Drop your torso over your legs. So put a little bend in your knees. Rock a little side to side. I'm just going to scooch back so I don't kind of go off my little vertical iPhone here. So lean back, very professional setup. And then bring your whole self forward, big inhale forward. And easy back, just like you'd be sitting up, breathing here. Big inhale forward. Easy back. If you're rocking a little bit more forward and back, keep both knees bent. Keep this standing leg low here, easy. And back. So what you don't want to do here, I'll show you a kind of no-no. This is kind of what we're avoiding, this kind of kicking and kicking and kicking and kicking, or more this kind of kicking and kicking and kicking and kicking and kicking and kicking, just to try to get a position here. There's really not a whole lot of value in that besides maybe a photo. If you manage to have somebody catch you at the top of that photo and you can have it on your camera roll and feel awesome for 30 seconds, right? So you can get such a better photo if you roll from your hips and you look peaceful and relaxed, and there's more time for your friend to catch that photo, right? So big inhale forward. And then from here, it's just softening in your knees enough so your hips can roll around. You see how this can be much more of a upside down hip opener than something that would happen just from your legs kind of kicking around. So this should feel nice. And then if you kind of lose balance like I just did, it doesn't matter, you can roll to a side. If you lose balance and you're just kind of kicking your legs to try to do a handstand, that's a recipe for crashing, or that's a recipe for falling into a back bend when you don't want to, or crashing down or hurting something. But if you're rolling from your hips, you're not going to fall in a sort of crashing way. You'll fall in a way where it looks like you meant to do it to yourself. Not that you care, hopefully, too much of what it looks like to other people, but it will look like a tree just simply swaying in the breeze. Let's practice that just a few more times. Inhale forward. Exhale back. Big inhale forward. And again, if you happen to catch some air, just soften the knees easy and just breathe. Get comfortable. Let yourself roll around from your hips. See what happens. It's not that you can't bring both legs up, but try not to make it coming from your toes or your legs. Just much more coming from your hips rolling around, if that makes sense. Then you become a nice usable thing to yourself. Your hips are opening, your back is getting involved. A handstand actually becomes nice for your back. It's a therapy. Big inhale. Long exhale. A couple more times. Big inhale. Long exhale. One more. Big inhale. Again, easy. Soften your knees. Roll around. Again, you can do the things you want to do. If you want to play around with, making crazy lotus legs or whatever it is, that's something to do. But really just rolling from your hips and your back, letting your handstand feel just like that, or just like a crawl on all fours. So when you've had a bit of playing around, you're ready to kind of recover, just come back to that crawl, and then we'll chat for a moment here. Give yourself a chance to slow down a bit, really crawl around. Easy. Maybe sit on your hips a bit. Notice any pent up, if you have tension, shoulders or wrists, just wiggle your hips a bit. See if you can let your arms go. And again, crawling around a bit here. Easy. So great way to recover and repair, especially if there's anything kind of off balance, off alignment. It's important to remember for yourself that just because you're practicing moving in better harmony or better alignment, it doesn't mean that you're not going to make mistakes or get little funky tweaks or any of that. So it's really important to slow down and give yourself the time to do that. Is the sound working all right? It said sound not working. It says it's working. Okay, I don't know. Anyway, hopefully it's working. All right, so I thought it'd be really cool to do a similar flow with a plank pose. So the sound is okay. If you guys give me a thumbs up if you say the sound's okay. Okay, cool. Awesome, perfect sound. Thanks, Viv. Amazing. All right, so I'd love to do a flow with you guys holding a plank pose. This is something that I think is so incredibly useful just mentally to hold a plank pose, to be there, roll around. The breathing pattern. Okay, so big inhale, lifting forward. Easy exhale, back. So same thing. It's nice to kind of be the discoverer of the breathing pattern for yourself by coming into something that's really simple. So if we were here, just relaxed, what happens when we breathe in? We go up, we go out, something big happens. And then what happens when we breathe out? We relax, we release, we come in. Again, big inhale. Opening, that's sort of a big energy, a little bit of effort there. The breath does that work for us. The exhale brings us out of it. So again, I'll show you just that one more time if that's useful for you guys. I always feel like if one person has a question, it's going to be a question for other people. So that same breathing is with this rocking forward and back. So if I came back, here's my exhale. Big inhale. Forward, exhale, back. Big inhale. Forward. If I stayed here, I still breathe. Exhale, inhale. Lift a bit, exhale, relax. Big inhale, lift. Something stretches, exhale. Something relaxes. So hopefully that's useful. You know, you can try the other way. It's not that the other way works, but you can try it and see how you'd be working against yourself. If you exhaled into something and inhaled back, it's gonna be like working against yourself in the way. It's not that you can't force yourself or muscle through that. It's the idea that let's use what we have, let's pay attention to our breath and work with ourselves, work with our planet, right? Big inhale. Forward, exhale, back and relax. So if you ever get stuck on what to do where, you can try it both ways and really check it out. You can do things both ways. Again, that's important just to remind us all, but one way is going to work better than the other. And the hiccup we may have there is a lot of us are used to doing something that's harder than it needs to be to accomplish the thing. So if you do it the opposite way, exhale forward, inhale back, that actually might feel more familiar to you because you might be used to doing things, again, in a harder, more disconnected way. And so it's sort of retraining yourself to, first of all, try that out, see what happens if you inhale forward, exhale back, do it a ton of times, not just once, but many times on both sides, recover in the middle, roll around, and see how much more possibilities present themselves with that. So hopefully that's useful. So again, just when you get lost, make sure you're movable. Big inhale. Long exhale. That's a good one. All right, so let's try a little bit of a plank pose, if that's cool. How do you get your feet up off the ground? Okay, one more. Everybody loves saying the sentence, right? So by simply rolling forward and rolling back. So it's useful to avoid any urge to launch yourself like the space shuttle. You know, we're not space shuttles unless you are inside of a space shuttle. But you don't want to kind of go from moving in harmony to jumping, right? So how to get your feet up off the floor? You're back. You're coming forward. You're in this sort of standing split. You don't need to be flexible at all to rock forward and rock back. Big inhale, breathe forward. So if it's just a little bit of a rock back, I don't even really want to use the word hop because you don't want to just jump up into something because that's where you can cause injury and there's just no harmony there. So again, big inhale, bring your body forward. Easy exhale, bring your body back. Just the same principle as if you were in a low lunge here. Exhale, inhale, bring your body up. Exhale, bring your body down. Right, easy here. Same idea. Big inhale, bring your body forward. Exhale, bring your body back. So don't worry about getting this bottom foot up, way up in the air. Don't even think about it. Just relax. Bring it forward, bring your hips forward, and then let this foot kind of stay relaxed down. And then back. So play with that for a little while. Write me, DM me, say, it didn't work, what's going on? Let me know. And then we can kind of go from there. So let's try something a little more plank-ish. I didn't have a metaphor there, sorry. So let's try a little bit more plank-ish, and then we'll head to forearm stand, because it's a bit different variation of your handstand, but same kind of ideas work there. So let's come back onto all fours, roll around, easy. So for this one, again, just coming back to that crawl around your space. Treat the ground as if you really liked your hands on the ground here. You're at the beach, kind of digging into that nice sand. Shift a little one side, come back down. Shift your hips a little to the other side. So you're moving from your center so much, you're not moving your hands at all. Moving your hips so much that a hand just slides up off the ground. And back down. Moving the other side, sliding up off the ground. And back down. So we're going to come into a plank pose here, sliding up off the ground. And hand finds the ground, sliding to your other side and back. So instead of being in one position for this plank pose, let yourself crawl around. Again, not from your hands. We're not going to walk from your hands or your feet, but from your middle. So bend your knees, shift your hips, slide a foot and a hand. Shift and slide. And then just move around your space in a sort of plankish position. This is really fun to do at home. You can notice the dust on your floor. See if you need to sweep or vacuum or whatever it is, which is also great practice. You can move from your middle. So I know this may be a bit silly or feel a little silly, but this is really a nice way to share, to move from your middle in your plank pose. So many of us get stuck in the plank, and then it's all about the arms and the shoulders and the legs, and everything's doing something crazy. Sorry, I need to take a break. When I show something that's disconnected, it completely exhausts me in the moment, and I just would rather collect myself and then go again. But I could do this all day long, you guys, and so can you. You can really do this. So I really want to save us from exhausting ourselves for things that aren't building us toward progress. So if you're going to be exhausted because you're doing something amazing and you're moving in harmony with yourself and you're serving yourself well. Don't be exhausted for some reason that doesn't get you anything or doesn't lead to progress. So if you're moving along with me right now, I'm going to move to the mat. You're probably feeling this a lot more in your belly than you are in your arms. You should be feeling no pain, nothing on your wrists here. So again, this is from your belly. So we're going to move a little bit more until we're still, just for a moment. And again, resisting any urge to get rigid or controlled with yourself. Soften up here. Big inhale. Long exhale. Come down toward your belly. Little side to side wiggle as you come down. Not just straight up and down. And then bring yourself up from your middle. 2 more times. Ease on down. And all the way up. 1 more time here. Ease on down. And this time right up and over. Side plank on one side. Lift up from your hips. Roll your belly. Everything just unfolds. And back toward your middle. Other side here. Lift up your hips. Roll and let everything unfold. Easy. And all the way back toward your middle. We'll hang here for just a few breaths. All be quiet. Try to find that easy place. Soften through your knees. You can even close your eyes if you like. It's not that this is easy. It is challenging, but try not to tense or force or clench things that you don't need to right now, that aren't serving you. Big inhale. Long exhale. Bend your knees. Give your hips a wiggle. 1 more time. Big inhale. Bend your knees. Give your hips a wiggle. 1 more time. Big inhale. And ease on down toward your belly. Lift back up. 2 more of these here. Rolling down little side to side. And back up 1 more time here. Easing down. And this time right up and back here. Nice down dog. Bend through your knees. Little shift your hips side to side. Crawl yourself up just until you find an easy place to crawl yourself up towards standing. Give yourself a chance to cruise around your space. Shifting your hips a bit. Walking a little forward, a little back. You feel any extra tension, you know, does it belong there for you? Give your arms a little bit of a wiggle, not your wrists, your whole arms. Find a place where you're standing here easy. Put a little bend in your knees. Maybe hands to your belly, your arms down by your side. And let your breath move you. Big inhale. Long exhale. Relax here. Come on up and chat about that one for a moment. So, okay, who did that one and who watched? It's totally fine. I love this online forum. You guys could just be hanging around, sitting in bed, watching this and watching Netflix at the same time. It's totally cool, by the way, and I totally get it. But that's a really nice one to move from your hips and really roll around that way. And you can really gain something out of your plank pose besides stressing out your mind, and realize that you can do really, really hard things without stressing out your mind, with using just the amount of focus that you need to achieve that thing. I know you did it, Viv. Love it from the couch, right? And letting everything go that you don't need to accomplish the task at hand. And that's really the sort of way that's everybody that you admire, that you really, really admire, that's the way that they do their work. They do the thing, they really, really focus, they drop the extra stress, they do the next thing, they drop, they do the extra thing, they drop. So whatever field of study these people are in, that's really a process that's used sort of all around. So, you know, whether it's a famous basketball player or sports player or something, they're doing the same thing over and over and finding the easiest way to do that thing so they can have more energy to play the game, or to be more aware of what's going on, or be sort of met with surprise. So hopefully that's glad about every impulse I get, though not very good. Yeah, exactly. So it's really useful to respect yourself enough to notice and say, oh wow, I tense up here, or this thought enters my mind here, or what's going on here. I can't tell you what those things are. Those are the things that you know. I mean, I could, Cece, I'm going to try to save this and toss it up on the IGTV. But we all sort of know these things. And when you talk about these things with other people, and this is a great community here, and the Strala community is great for this, you'll find people that have similar experiences with you, and you can talk these things through, sort of the emotional stuff, the mental stuff, and the physical stuff out loud, and feel more kindred to and more connected to your experience because other people are experiencing it too. So there's nothing wrong with you if you notice that your shoulders clench up, or you notice your wrist gets sore because you're holding tension there, or your mind says, you know, I have to tense up now, otherwise I can't do it. So these are, if you're going through something, I think it's really useful to know that other people have gone through that as well, and we can find each other and find those little peculiar things that we all go through individually, but also together. So hopefully that'll be cool. All right, felt it on the core, right? Really, really cool. So I think a lot of people are used to doing a plank pose just with the shoulders and kind of knitting the shoulder blades together and doing all these kind of really funky, precise things instead of using your whole body to accomplish the movement. Yeah, you're not alone, you're not alone, you're not alone, and it's not your fault, it's not your fault, it's not your fault, you're amazing, and we're all in the process of improving how we move and improving how we are together. So wherever you are in that process, getting on that process, getting on your path is awesome, and then improving upon the way is the best we can do. So I think there's also not a reason to feel bad if you notice something that didn't quite work, and especially if you noticed how to improve it for the next time. So that's really cool. All right, let's do another one. Hello in Cape Town. Let's do another one. I love Cape Town. I got to go once for actually shooting the commercial for the collaboration I had with Reebok back in, I think, 2012. Oh, but I had so much fun, and I really want to come back. I have some friends that live there now. Sonia, a yoga teacher, yoga guide, and health coach, and awesome friend of mine lives down there. And yeah, so maybe you guys could connect. I'd love to hook you guys up. So yeah, if you send me a DM, I'd love to connect you to my friend Sonia. That'd be really awesome. You can't fly, your body gets tense. I don't know what that means, but we'll check it out. You mean flying in an airplane? I don't know. We can talk later if you want to DM me. It's cool. All right, let's do a bit of a forearm flow. So again, first, before we do anything, crawling down, taking care of yourself that whole time. So even though you know a forearm situation is coming, trying our best to notice what's happening with you right here. And we'll flow through a nice, harmonious process. Tuck your toes and lift up and back here. Down dog. A little bend in your knees. Gentle shift to your hips. Lean left, big, and I'll pull your right leg way up and back behind you. Down dog split, open up. Slide that foot on through, low lunge. We'll go for a warrior one this time. Spin your back heel down. Bring yourself up through your middle high. And sink right here. Roll around a bit from your hips. Drop through your tailbone a bit. Big inhale to lift. Easy. Relax. That same breath of sitting or that handstand, big inhale brings you up and out. Easy. Relax. Let it go. Drop your hands behind you. Lift up. And easy. All the way up and over your legs. You bring your hands down inside of you. Come onto your back toes. Scoot your front foot out toward your side waist. Drop that back knee down toward the ground. Take your time to open up. Roll around a bit here. So you might have guessed it. Forearm stand, forearm movement can be a hip opener. It can be useful. It can be like that anti-gravity pigeon pose. My goodness, it's like a pigeon pose in space. How cool is that? Without the weight of your body resting on top of you. So reframing what this could possibly be instead of just a challenging balance pose. So it's really nice to think about this much more of a movement than a static position or static balance. So come on down, maybe one forearm, maybe the other one. Slide this top leg all the way around so you're on your forearms and on your knees. Roll around a bit here from your hips. So hands can kind of just be where they are naturally, extended from your elbows. You don't need to do any fancy obsessive measuring. If your forearms on the ground, underneath your shoulders, they're in a good spot. If you're more comfortable, kind of slightly interlacing your hands, not kind of in a desperate way, but just a loose interlacing, that might be more comfortable, but just play around. And for your gaze for this one, just like a handstand, just kind of looking at the ground gently between your arms. So you don't want to be looking out too much far forward. See what that does to your back, a nice arch there. You don't want to be too tucked in because you might just roll over for a somersault, which could be fine too if that's not something that scares you. But just having your gaze down there, easy. And again, we're not going to jump. We're not going to kick anything. We're just going to roll, see what happens. So if you roll to one side or the other side out of it, just let your body ease on down. But you won't get in trouble if you avoid launching yourself. So just stay with me here. Tuck in your toes and lift up and back here, down dog. Walk your feet in a little bit here in this round. Just lean toward your left big, and I'll pull your right leg up. Easy, back down. Lean right, lift that left leg high. And all the way down. One more time here. Lean right, lift that leg up. And back down. One more time here. Lean to the side, lift that leg up. And back down. Soften your knees down. Relax. Come to sit up here. Just breathe. Give yourself a moment. So that action of rocking forward and back, that same idea of in a handstand here, but for this one, you're more in the ground here. You're more connected here into the ground. You don't have that freedom to come all the way up off the ground and then come on the ground. You could do it that way, but we're doing a little more of a placed approach here. So we'll repeat that here on the other side. We'll have a little bit more play with it, but that same idea of leaning to one side so much that it frees up that opposite leg, can float open, rolling from your hips, just like we did a moment ago. All right, other side. Lean right, lift that left leg way up and back, roll open. So same feeling is right here, right in this down dog split goodness. Lean right, slide that foot on through. Scoot your feet a bit apart. Spin that back heel down. Bring your body through your middle to come up. Lift high and sink. Warrior one. A little bend in that back knee. So both feet are planted here. Stable. Big inhale to lift, open. Easy. Relax. One more time. Lift. Relax. Drop your hands down behind you. Get your fingertips together. Lift. And all the way up and over, right inside. Bring your hands down toward the ground. Come onto your back toes. Scoot your front foot out toward your side a bit. Ease that back knee down. Take your time. Don't skip anything. So this should feel nice in your hips and back. We're headed for that feeling in your forearm movement. Come on down toward your forearm. So to get this top leg around, lean all the way over toward your right side so much there's no weight on that front leg. It can slide around. And come back down to your forearms. Easy here. So get your hips going first. Little shift side to side. Maybe exaggerate that movement, especially if this is new for you here. Crawling on up. So rolling through a few times here. Big inhale, pull the leg up, pull your hips and belly. Easy, relax down. Rolling through this here, softening your knees. If you happen to have a little bit of a teeter-totter forward and back, this is all it is. Bend your knees. Breathe. You can roll from your hips, same as that handstand. Let this come from your hips. Let this be a hip opener, not so much a leg swinging exercise. So let me just show you a really common thing that happens in this one. So what starts to happen in this one is a really big arch in your back. And I hesitate to show it because it's painful for me, but it might be useful for you just to see what you might be doing yourself on somebody else's body here. So just coming up. So this happens a lot, this idea of kind of reaching. You see where I'm kind of looking forward and arching my back and kind of going for it, kicking and kicking, kicking that way. Oh, again, I get exhausted when I do anything that doesn't feel right to me. So this is more about keeping your body in one line, just as you would when you're standing up here. So we don't want to do a forearm stand like this. And you don't want to stand like this. This is terrible for your body. You don't want to stand kind of like this either, right? So finding your way to stand easy, nice and balanced, calm. Everything is centered and open. You can find your place just by simply cruising around and walking, giving yourself the practice to do that all the time, whether you're coming out of the shower, whether you're walking to the kitchen, whether you're taking a glass off the counter and bringing it to you, whatever you're doing here, finding the easiest way to do something where you're not showing yourself or performing a practice in that way. So no yoga isms or Tai Chi isms or whatever it is. However cool those things may be for you, they're not going to help you move in harmony with yourself. So let's try that just one more time, just that forearm part. Again, paying attention to how you come down your forearms, easy. So again, all this is big inhale, rolls your hips, roll your belly. And you don't want to jump here. Again, it's exhausting. It's exhausting to try to make something happen that's not happening, if that makes sense. So let it happen. Let yourself be in the process where you are and forget about trying to accomplish the pose. You'll accomplish the movement so much faster and better and more sustainably if you stay in the movement instead of just kind of trying to make it happen, you know. So don't fake it till you make it. Just be in the process and you'll do so much more. If I can offer any little suggestions here. So again, all this is simply relaxing, like your back, big inhale brings you forward. Easy exhale, relax. If you want to kind of go with that a few times. Forward and back. So again, just really easy, dropping forward. Your inhale, relaxing back. And then let your legs go. Let your legs be soft. Your hips can roll around here. Breathe. Have a nice opener there. Can play around. And when you bring yourself down, give yourself a moment to come back to your center, whether that's sitting or crawling, whatever it is for you. Hopefully that was a useful practice. So just to kind of finish off a little bit of a practice, I'll come up and see if there's any burning questions or comments or anything like that. But come back to your crawling around. Come back to your cruising around in your space there. And And come back to transitioning your crawling to your walking. And then see if you can practice your movements wherever you are in your room. Make sure there's not a coffee table or something around, something that could injure you or create fear. But the same idea of coming back. Inhale forward. Rolling around, coming back, wherever you are in your room. Big inhale. Going around playing. Letting yourself just enjoy that movement. Maybe you come into a plank pose, cruise around there. Maybe you walk in your plank pose. Maybe that plank pose turns into a downward dog or a nice kind of lifted runner stretch. Start playing around this way. Easy, playing around. Rolling around there. You'll find so much more usefulness and find that you're able to do so much more than you thought possible when you let yourself not just leave your rectangle space, but when you allow yourself to sort of start to practice all the time and not just in that pent-up moment where you're doing that pose. So crawling around, a little forward, a little back. So hopefully that's fun for you guys. So I hope to save this. Hopefully Instagram lets me save this and I'll toss it up on the IGTV. So hopefully you enjoyed those hard poses made easy. And tomorrow we've got Tai Chi Tuesdays with Mike, yay. So that'll be really, really fun. It'll be on the Strala account live at 2 p.m. Eastern time. And again, we'll try to save it and toss it up on the IGTV. And I'm gonna try to also toss this one up on the IGTV as well, if that's useful. And see you guys again tomorrow morning. If you're in the mood for resident yogis, tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time, every single day. Tomorrow will be the 30th day of us all together, or me in my living room together with whoever wants to join. Totally fine. Completely something I'm doing for myself to feel better. So thank you so much for joining me. It really helps me feel better. And I love practicing with people. And it was just the first thing that came to my mind when quarantine became a reality is, okay, Instagram Live, it is, let's do this. So super, super fun, and love you guys so much. Thank you for taking really good care of ourselves. I feel like if we're in this stay-at-home camp, we're the lucky ones in so many ways, and our job, if any job at all that we have, is to take really good care of ourselves so we can be of service in however ways we can to ourselves and our families and the world at large. So thank you for being part of that process together with me. You guys are amazing. We can make hard things easy, hopefully way beyond simple things like handstand, forearm stand, and plank pose, the really hard things in our lives. So, oh good, I'm glad when you let your shoulders relax in forearm stand, I was able to lift off some. Amazing, isn't that just all those moments? It seems so silly when it's just something about a little thing in your body that you discovered, but it becomes, sort of much bigger and more related to everything else. So when we do this in groups of people, whether I'm leading or somebody else is leading, we do a little bit of movement, we come back and we chat, and the rolling around is fun, it is fun, yeah. And everybody shares these moments, just like we're sharing here. So thank you for doing that with each other, so you can kind of read each other's comments. I think that's really, really cool. One feature I noticed, and when you save and post to the stories, you can read each other's comments, kind of scroll through, and that's really nice. So yes, being more aware of how you move, I think that's really nice. So we can all improve how we move forever, and it's a forever practice of being better and better and better at moving really well. So hopefully that's useful for you guys. Moving from the middle, very, very cool, and moving more in harmony with ourselves, more aligned with who we are and where we'd like to go. So yeah, I hope to meet you all one day too. If I haven't met you yet, we have to get together and all have a big hug. So love you guys, have a great day, and see you tomorrow.